Unit 9, Video 5, Dividing Radicals. Alright, dividing radicals. So it's like multiplication. If the two things were inside, you can multiply them. If the two numbers were outside the square root, you can multiply them. Well, with fractions or division, it's the same thing. If both numbers are inside the square root, you can simplify them in this case. So, a couple things just to keep your eye out. These two are the same thing. You can always split the square root up and make 2, okay, as long as they're both inside, or you can leave them. Okay, now since the 3 and the 6 are both in the square root, we can simplify them, and that's always your best step first. You can still get the answer if you don't. You just have bigger numbers later, and you have to do it later. So it's always easier to try to catch it at the beginning. So 3 will go into 3 one time, and 3 will go into 6 2 times. So right now, I have this, a square root of 1 over square root of 2. Okay. The rule with fractions is you can never have a square root in the denominator. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite this just to give myself some more room. You can never have a square root in the denominator. And how we get rid of it is we multiply it by itself. Okay. So the square root of 2 times square root of 2. Now fractions are like equations. If you multiply the denominator by square root of 2, you need to multiply the numerator by square root of 2. Okay, so square root of 2 times square root of 2 will always be the whole number 2. Okay, so for example, square root of 3 times square root of 3 is 3. Okay, square root of a times square root of a is a. Okay, so whenever you take a number, square root, and you multiply it by itself, it just gives you the number that's under it. Okay, now in my numerator, I have square root of 1 times square root of 2, which is square root of 2. Now, I can't simplify these. This is the answer. And the reason I can't is because this is outside the square root and this is inside. Okay? So it's like having a little square root of 1 there. Okay? So just remember, a whole number is not inside the square root, so you can't simplify. So that would be my answer. Square root of 2 over 2. Alright, so we're going to look and see. Now the 4 is outside, so I can't mess with the 4. But if you look, the 5 and the 15 are both inside, so I can simplify. What'll go into 5 and 15 is 5. That'll go once, and that'll go 3 times. Okay. So I have 4 square root of 1 over square root of 3. Now, just so I'll note, I'm going to leave the square root of 1 there, but the square root of 1 is 1, so you don't ever have the square root of 1 in your actual answer, but I'm going to leave it, just it helps us see. Okay, so now this is what I can't have, the square root of 3. Okay, so I need to get rid of the square root of 3, and I do that by multiplying it by itself. So I'm going to multiply by square root of 3. And what you do to the denominator, you have to do to the numerator. Okay, so square root of 3 times square root of 3 is 3. Okay, now this is 4 times 1, which is 4, and the square root of 1 times the square root of 3 is 3. Okay, now remember, I can't simplify those 3's because one is inside the square root and one is outside. Okay, next one is I have 2 fractions that I'm multiplying. Okay, so again, look at it as if it were just 2 fractions. You're looking, can I cross cancel? Can I reduce? And we can't, so it's okay. Okay, so we're going to do what we would normally do in a multiplication problem. We're going to multiply straight across. So 2 times 7 is 14, and 5 times 3 is 15. Okay. Okay. Now, we can't simplify. 14 and 15 are both inside the square root, but I can't simplify them. So I have to get rid of the square root of 15. So how I do that is I multiply it by itself. And I also have to multiply the numerator by that. Okay. So now this is just a 15. Okay. And then when you have 14 times 15, because they're both inside the numerator, I get 210. Okay. Now what we need to make sure is that 210 can't be simplified. Okay, so you always need to make sure that what's in the square root can't be simplified. So off to the side, I'm going to do a factor tree and make sure I don't have any pairs. 21 times 10, 7 times 3, 2 times 5. Okay, so I don't have any pairs, so this is my answer.